You are now listening to the IELTS podcast.
Hello there, podcast listeners. Today on the episode, we've got Phil from OnlineEnglishTeacher.com, and he's going to answer some questions regarding the speaking test. He's going to give us some hacks for task 2 or task 3. He's going to tell us about fluency, and he's going to tell us how to overcome exam nervousness. So it's quite a value-packed episode in this one. So hello there, Phil. How are you?
Yes. Hi, Ben. Nice. It's great to meet you, and thank you for inviting me today to your famous website.
Don't worry about it, my friend. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now, can you just tell us a bit about yourself and your website before we get started? And then I'll start with the IELTS questions.
Yes. So basically, I've been an English teacher for about, I think the total time is 8.5 years. And I've taught offline in Japan, India, Spain, and England. And basically, I was thinking, hey, this offline teaching, it's really not very successful, and I'd be interested in maybe doing something else. So I tried to make a career change into IT, but I was probably even worse in IT than I was at English teaching. And then I kind of had the thought, hey, I know I've got a great idea. Why don't I check out becoming a Skype English teacher? And I had no idea. I started January 2007, so it was really just the complete start of online teaching. And so basically, I got into it, and I found I was pretty much the only person in the world doing it, other than a guy called Tom. This is in January 2007. And he said, hey, I didn't know there's another teacher in the world. I've been doing this for half a year. Oh, nice to meet you. And actually now, this guy now works for me 7.5 years later. So actually we've known each other a really long time. And probably we're not, we may or may not be the longest online teachers in the world. I'm not sure. But probably, basically we started right at the beginning, and we were the only people doing it. So it's possible. It's possible there were some people earlier, of course.
Wow.
I don't know if they've been doing it continuously.
This could be a Guinness World Book record. It could be the longest teacher, the longest online English teacher.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Okay then. All right. Let's get started. So, what's the best preparation a student can do to pass the IELTS exam?
Basically, I have a lot of. I've been teaching the IELTS. I started about 5 years ago, and haven't been doing continuously. But now I'm pretty busy. I have like 20 or 30 classes a week for the IELTS or whatever by Skype. And basically, I think the first thing is they need to know what is their level and what grade they need to get. This is the main thing, because a lot of students say, how many classes do I need? And I kind of thinking to myself, how long is a piece of string?
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay, so you'd recommend they take a practice test and get familiar?
Yeah. Definitely. They need to know where they are and where they're going. I think it's the same for everything in life.
I see. Okay, good. Right then. Now, and how do you prepare a student for the speaking task?
Yeah, so for the speaking task, we need to find out what are their weak areas. So usually, and I'm not saying I know this completely, but usually after a few minutes of speaking to them, I get some sort of idea of their current level or how many classes they're going to need. But then also we can go through speaking exams. But having taught online for 7.5 years, I guess this is just trained my mind. So pretty much after a few minutes, I can kind of tell what level a student is. But they're definitely then doing some speaking exams, I can kind of focus more and try and pick up some more weak areas.
I see. Could you give us an example of a typical weak area and how you would correct it?
Yeah, a typical weak area is grammar. So basically, maybe the students, like I was teaching a student yesterday, and this was a student from. Actually, I was teaching a few students. I'm trying to think which country that guy was from. It was someone from Saudi Arabia, Poland, and basically we were going. They got great fluency, but they got grammar errors. So I would, in fact, they were writing down. I offered them yesterday. I could write it down if they wanted, but they said that they were writing it down. And so basically, we just go through and identify the grammar errors, and then hopefully they'll stop making them. But what I recommend, which is also similar to in the writing, which could also be used similarly for the speaking, is for students to make an Excel sheet and just write down all the errors they're making, and then count them each time they're making. And mathematically, they can then quickly see a pattern.
I see, yeah. And also, if they are measuring it, if you measure something, just the mere fact of measuring it starts to make you pay attention to it, and from there, you will see an improvement as well. So that's a good point, Phil. Good one. Right then, next question. Do you know any techniques or hacks for task 2?
Yeah, over the years I've been teaching the IELTS. I've had a lot of students, who don't know what to say, and they say, "Oh, I just got no idea what to say." And so what I say to the students is, and it's not easy, but I just demonstrated to the student from Saudi Arabia yesterday, is basically try to write 15 bullet points, and then you can use one bullet point for half, 1 or 2 sentences, and then it's very easy to speak, because a lot of students, number one, they're thinking what to say, and number two, they're thinking about the English, and they don't do either particularly well. But if students can write down the bullet points, then basically they will be able to speak easily. So basically, I think the key thing is prepare as much as possible, writing the bullet points, and that also goes for task 1. You can kind of write down some typical answers, and then people can focus on the English, and they don't have to worry so much, about what they're going to say.
Excellent advice. Yeah, if they've got the content already in front of them, and especially if it's in the bullet form, then it's just a case of working through the list and maybe expanding on a few points if they find they've got if they find it easier, and just working through.
Yes.
That's excellent advice. Thanks, Phil. And what about for task 3? Do you know any techniques for task 3 when the more difficult questions start?
Yeah, I mean, what I say to the students is speak longer for the easier questions, and then shorter for the shorter questions. So basically, for the task 3, if they're saying, "Oh, you mentioned about your job, you're an accountant, tell me a bit more about that," or in your task 2 question, then if this is vocabulary you're probably going to know pretty well, then try and speak a lot longer. But then if the question is a difficult question, then try and speak a shorter time, and that will then hopefully mathematically maximize the amount of time you're speaking easy answers as relative to difficult questions.
I see. So if the examiner asks you a question that, like you said, related to your job, you would recommend a student speak longer on that question, because they've got in theory, they've got much more vocabulary, and they'll probably feel a lot more comfortable about it, rather than speaking about, just a random point that the examiner has picked up on during the part 3.
And the other thing is, definitely, if students don't understand the question, they've definitely got to ask. It's no good guessing, because there's a million different questions the examiner might ask. So although it doesn't sound so good, so but definitely check. And another thing is try not to. It's good if you can speak and correct yourself, but it's better if you just speak it correctly the first time. So try to speak at a relatively slow speed, or at least as slow, to give yourself time to kind of think ahead and to check ahead. But definitely, it shouldn't be like a tortoise.
Yeah, it's true. I find when I'm teaching that when I come back from the UK, I'll usually speak a lot faster, and my students don't understand me. So yeah, if you speak slower, it definitely helps for the others to understand you. Now, almost the last question. Do you know a way to overcome exam nervousness? How can they get confident in the exam?
Yeah, I've had students before who like the task 2. I said, okay, 1 minute preparing, ready, start, I said stop, and they said, I'm sorry, I'm too nervous to speak. I said, what do you mean? It's just me and you in this circle. And I said, okay. So, and actually, that one of those students there, they actually got 6.5. So sorry to mention that person, but I would definitely want to mention their name or country if they hear it. And so yeah, it's all about repeating. So it's like if you drive a car, the first times you're kind of white knuckles on the steering wheel. On the motor, whatever. But after 50 times, you kind of even forget you're doing it or whatever. And it's just that you just got to repeat as many times as possible with the teacher, also by yourself, speaking and recording. And it just like any skill. Basically, you want to do it so many times that you kind of forget you're doing it, and then you won't feel nervous.
Okay, good advice there. So they could just go online, get some Task 2 cue cards, and then just practice, record themselves.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they can do it. They don't have to do it with a teacher, And definitely, especially in my classes, I definitely recommend students to just do it by themselves. Go to IELTSPodcast.com or one of these famous websites and just get the questions, practice speaking it, record it. Also, for the task 1 questions, you can prepare it, write what you're going to say, and try and expound on it. You've got to be careful about. Like sometimes I say to my students, it's not a police interrogation. You're not trying to minimize what you say so you don't get, condemned by your answers. So try and give full answers. Like, what's your name? You wouldn't just say John or Juan or whatever. You'd say, my name is Juan. My friends call me Jay or whatever it is. But also, you can't speak for 10 minutes about your favorite color. It needs to be all in context.
Yeah, you can just spend 15 minutes talking to the examiner about your name.
Yeah, this is my name, and oh, by the way, my dog's name.
Okay, and although we've centered mainly on the speaking, you do help students with the other areas. Yeah. Okay. Regarding the other areas, what's the most common difficulty you find yourself correcting for students?
Well, it depends on every student, but grammar and vocabulary are the main things. I think for structure and for task response, this is something that students learn at high school, so I don't really need to teach it so much.
Okay, I see. And do you have any tips for the reading or for the listening?
Yeah, well, for the reading, it's all about time. So it's all about, and what I say to students, the reading is like Tetris. Basically, it's mission impossible. Don't expect you're going to get 40 questions. It's all about the percentage. So if you need to get 7, you need to get such and such correct. So 32, whatever it's going to be. So basically, depends on the general academic. So basically, number 1, it's all about time, and you've got to have a fast schedule. Number 2, don't think you're going to get 100% correct. Most native speakers probably wouldn't even get 100% correct, because some of the questions are quite difficult sometimes, perhaps. So basically, it's all about percentages. You've got to work out what you need and just get enough of that. And any other is great, but you don't actually you don't need to get like 100% basically.
Okay, I see. All right. Now, and if a student wanted to start classes with you, could you tell us about that offer that they can do? Is it a $1 class?
Yes, right. So basically, we have like a $1 class, so students can try like a group class or a single student class. And actually, also another thing is, I'll give Ben the link for the listeners, and we can also do an offer which is buy 10 get 1 free using the link. So there'll be a link to a special page for Ben's website, and we'll sort of make a affiliate link, and but also to encourage people to use that link. It'll be buy 10 get 1 free with IELTS podcast listeners.
Awesome. So what they'll have to do is go to the site, look for this post, and then follow the link.
Yes, the link won't be to my main site. It'll be to another site, English tutor.info /IELTS podcast. And but the link I'll make this for Ben after, and I'll give the link, and so you can use that to get buy 10 get 1 free.
Awesome.
for listening to IELTSPodcast.com. And remember to leave your email for updates and early access to new podcasts.